today I want to talk to you about this interesting intersection between direct-to-consumer ancestry testing, which I know some of you in this room may have participated in and may have done yourselves, and its use in solving cold cases, or in some cases now, cases that are not cold, but perhaps that have recently happened. So first, what is direct-to-consumer testing? We'll start there. So this is genetic testing that's marketed directly to consumers. So that means that you don't need to go through a physician or a nurse practitioner in order to order that testing. It's testing you can just do by yourself. So this is an example of a Ancestry report from 23andMe. This is one of the commercial companies that's available that does ancestry testing. And what it does is it will look at a lot of a person's SNPs if they submit a sample. And so they're not doing full sequencing of all of your genes, they're just specifically looking at these locations that have been identified that are polymorphic. So it's looking at these series of SNPs, and then it's comparing them to its own internal database of SNP variants that are known in people from different regions of the world to help predict what your ancestry may be. So the way that this analysis is done in terms of determining relatedness is based on the fact that our DNA that we have is all inherited from our predecessors. So I told you that half of your nuclear DNA is from your mother and half is from your father. And you might think, given that exactly 25% of your DNA is from each of your grandparents. But that's not actually the case. It's variable how much of your DNA is from each grandparent. So genetic genealogy is this very new field that's used to combine this sorts of genetic testing and these regions on our chromosomes that are similar, that I was just talking about, together with traditional genealogy. So I think most people were surprised when this came to light last year. This was in April of 2018. There was this big break in a very famous case, and it became known that genetic genealogy was used to find a serial killer known as the Golden State Killer. Since then, a number of other cold cases have been solved using this technology. So what these investigators did is they took the DNA from crime scenes, from these crimes, and they did that SNP genotyping analysis. And then they uploaded it to a database called GEDmatch. And this was really the big difference from how these analyses were done in the past. So GEDmatch is a website that was known to genealogists. That's an open source website where you can upload your SNP data that you've downloaded from other sites like 23andMe or Ancestry.com or Family Tree DNA, or even MyHeritage. So then what they do is once they've identified matches, then they would construct a family tree backwards using the records that are typically used for genealogy research. Those census records, obituaries, I mentioned Facebook for more recent generations, all of these things. So at that point, when you find these individuals that are related, you would use other information to narrow down that list of suspects. So that information includes ancestry information from this original SNP data, from some of that ancestry determination that we talked about at the beginning. It also includes sex of the individual, age, and location to identify possible suspects. And then at that point, they need to collect DNA from those potential suspects to either rule them in or rule them out with confirmatory testing. So currently, with the information that's available in GEDmatch, it's estimated that 60% of individuals with European ancestry in the United States, if we tested 60% of people in this room of your DNA and uploaded it to GEDmatch, it's predicted that we could find a third cousin or closer match. and then we might be able to identify you from that information, even though you haven't done any genetic testing yourself, just based on the data that's available from other people that you are related to.